right, good evening, everybody, and we're back for episode 53 of the No Punches Pulled podcast. The three amigos are back in town. JFT, centre stage as usual, Mr. LT Sweet Boxing Science up on the top right. Boys, we're back. We made a return for the show for one of the biggest weeks in boxing in a long, long time. We're even just talking about there's a sneaky little Misfits cards in the middle as well. We've got Sunday boxing in Nigeria, Lawrence Okolie, and the legend that is Ebenezer Tetteh being wheeled back out. We've got JFT making his return to spectating in person in boxing in Leeds on Saturday. And you got the small matter of Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul on Friday. Look, there's a show tomorrow night, for God's sake, in London.
There is.
Against Joe Howe, which actually is a pretty decent fight, to be fair.
Don't forget the Misfits heavyweight champion, Chase Demore. I think he got battered in his first two fights. People are forgetting his dog shit. Fights Cobra Tate, the new CEO of Misfits Boxing.
Yeah, don't forget that one. Evening, Humble. Thanks for joining us as always, my friend.
Yes, Humble.
But yeah, look, we gave our picks last night on what we would probably clap. Well, they are the two biggest fights of the weekend, not just for us. I think that's probably.
You got his pick, didn't you, Troy?
Oh, dear, never lived that down. So Troy Williamson and Callum Simpson, and of course Joshua against Jake Paul. But we'll break this this show tonight, this half an hour-ish show, into those two fights, but maybe a little bit on what's happening in Nigeria on Sunday. Obviously, we didn't cover that one as much in detail, but yeah, that card for me has been a disaster from start to finish. But look, we'll start with Joshua and Jake Paul, boys. It's what, three days-ish away now. It's going to happen on Friday night. There's been no pullouts as of yet, like we talked about last night. We're checking every other hour, thinking Jake Paul was going to pull out. I mean, it's going to happen.
It's happening.
I'm on the opinion now. It's here and it's happening. Netflix have put millions into it. I've watched some of the promotional material, though it's been pretty dross. There's been no expense spared. So Judgment Day is coming in 72 hours.
I think so, and I was against the fight, and I'm still against the fight. But the fact that it's happening, I'm going to be watching the fight. We're going to be watching the fight together. And there is, I wouldn't say excitement, because I've got a mixture of emotions this weekend. Obviously, I'm building up to going to watch Troy on Saturday night, and that's sort of taking all the excitement and the adrenaline that I've got and the nervous energy, etc. And it's more a feeling of anticipation for Friday night. Because there's two things that could happen. AJ could turn up with the end goal of just getting through the night, not sustain, because there's also an opportunity for a chance that Joshua gets injured, swinging right and left hands. He could dislocate a shoulder. He could tear a.
He might be shot to bits as well. We haven't seen him in
we've not seen him since he got
15
battered.
months.
And he got whooped that night. He rolled his ankle. He got sparked.
He got sparked, or he got El Sparkoed, as the code says.
Sparkoed. But he got the Bunsen burner. There's another one from old me mate Cal. But look, it's anticipation for me more than excitement. I can't be excited about a glorified sparring match. Whoever Jake Paul's fought previously, I know he's got Tyson and Anderson Silva and the kid that bears the same name as a Mexican boxing legend, but I refuse to say his name, even with a junior linked to it. So for me, it's anticipation. What Joshua turns up. If Joshua, that we know and have come to follow over the years, turns up, then this fight don't get out of the first round. He just smothers him. Even punches taken on the gloves will knock him over. Joshua is a foot taller than him. He's got 3 or 4 stone on him. He's got exponential skills on him. And I never thought I'd hear myself say this. He's got better footwork than him. I've never said that about Anthony Joshua before now, because he is fairly robotic in his movement. But is Joshua going to play the game and have a few rounds like a sparring match? Or is he going to do what he should do for boxing, go out there and just put this kid to sleep? I just hope that Jake Paul, or even Anthony Joshua, comes out of this unscathed. That's my only concern in all of this, is that, we're given a spectacle as fans, as paying fans. We're given this spectacle, and the slavering casual masses get what they came to see. Jake Paul in with a chance, but ultimately us three as boxing fans know that If this is down to brass tacks and boxing ability, then it don't get out at first couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think for me, Jay talks about you can't get excited for it. I think for me, it's trepidation. It's just hoping that when this does happen and it does end, Jake Paul actually walks out of the ring under his own steam. That's the thing we're saying here. And Jay loosely touched on it last night that, there is real danger in this fight. If
Liam, I think the first knockdown or whatever it is, sorry to cut you off, I think that there won't be. Look, we keep referring to the Ngannou fight, but Ngannou was dropped heavily twice, and then he got cleaned out on the third one. And it was
Jake's not getting up from one of them.
Jake is the slightest bit incoherent or anything like that. That is a
they're not going to allow it.
Yeah, you would hope so. Look, I think it'll be a body shot. I actually think
I'm with you, Liam. I think that's a shout. But
the reality is, as much as Jake Paul has played this game for so long now, and he's finally getting put in there with someone that has the potential to do him serious damage. I've heard people saying, well, Tommy Fury didn't drop him. Tommy Fury didn't stop him. But the reality is that was actually an even matchup in terms of where they both were in their skill levels at that time. Tommy Fury is area English level at an absolute push. We said that before. That's no disrespect. That's just the reality. Anthony Joshua, regardless of what we think about how he got his belts, is a 2-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. There's, again, an amateur Olympic European medalist. There is levels to the game, and Jake Paul is going to find out on Friday night, isn't he? That's the reality. And as long as Jake Paul can get out of the ring under his own steam and go back to whatever he's going to do, carry on these exhibition fights, carry on doing whatever he's going to do afterwards, that is what we want to see. We don't want to be talking on Saturday or Sunday, waiting to hear any more news on him, do we? That's the reality.
The issue that I've got post-fight on Saturday morning is, will this open the floodgates, or is it going to slam the door firmly shut?
I hope it slams it
and puts paid to it. If not, I'm going to buy myself 100,000 subscribers next week, and I'll be fighting Zerdo second quarter of next year. But no, in reality, I hope it puts paid to this crossover boxing, because, I hope to God there isn't
it's the end game. It's the end goal. You can't go any higher as a
he wants
not
a world
YouTuber
title
anymore.
Shot.
He's a boxer. He's boxed 10
he
fights.
Said that himself. He said it with disdain when Joshua called him a YouTuber. He said, "F no, I'm not a YouTuber now. I'm a boxer." But then about a minute and a half later, went on to say that
wants to be a YouTuber when the shoe fits. But then
within the same paragraph, he actually spoke of himself as an influencer and a YouTube boxer, which he is ultimately. But you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You've been telling us for months that you'll beat Canelo, you'll beat Lawrence Okolie, you're ready. You're ranked.
Do you respect Jake Paul for taking it?
No.
Look, the only reason I asked
he had no fucking choice, mate.
Yeah, it's not that I do, but on the flip side, he's a multi-millionaire. He hasn't really got a fight. And he's going in there and he's actually taking the only issue that most people had with him was, look, he's doing great things for the female side of the sport, everything like that. But the only issue everyone had with him is, he's never fought anyone, he's fighting old men.
And the flip side of that is, he's going to ruin the sport for women, because when he's bored and he's had enough and he pulls out.
Well, you can say that about Riyadh season as well, couldn't you? It's the same kind of.
We're only 3 years into Riyadh season, and it is starting to
we'll get on to Riyadh season
plateau.
In a bit,
But the problem for me is, who the fuck is going to be able to pay these wages to these women when he pulls out? And he's not.
That's why Eddie and everyone else has let them all go, because they can't compete with.
They're earning good money now, but it's giving these young girls that are coming up now an unrealistic expectation of paycheck. Because I'm telling you now, the paychecks are not like that until you get to that level, and there's many levels to get through before you get to that level. So
look, I completely agree with that. I think that's bang on. Look, I'm kind of at a point now with Friday night where kind of looking forward to it being over. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And then I'll get my teeth stuck right into Troy against Callum Simpson on Saturday night. And hopefully that'll because it's going to be a clown show, isn't it? Look, like you said, Liam, it's actually not a bad undercard. It's dominated by female world championship fights. Baumgartner, I think, is the co-main. Caroline Dubois making her MVP debut on there. You got Anderson Silva against Tyron Woodley, which is a favour from Jake Paul as being 2 previous opponents.
How many PED cheats can you fit on one card in one night? Jesus Christ. Any room for Conor Benn, allegedly?
I'm with you, mate. You do just want this to be over now. Look, this whole Jake Paul narrative has dominated the back end of the year because we were meant to get the Tank exhibition fight, weren't we, midway through November, which they pulled out of when more indiscretions.
I think he was saying more indiscretions.
He was mid-flow.
I know it's a difficult word to say, Liam, but he's had some form of seizure. Hopefully,
somebody at Restream wasn't feeling his rant anyway.
Look, we need it over and done with. You know, it's been a long drawn out, arduous build-up that, for me, I'm a little bit pissed off because there is a massive fight the following night. Yes, it's only domestic, you know, Williamson versus Simpson, but it's for all the marbles. It's for everything other than a world title fight. You've got 2 great stories. You know, Callum Simpson is a local lad, really. Leeds is half an hour from Barnsley. You know, he's come up the hard ways. He's not been spoon-fed, and, you know, he's done the small hauls. And in fact, I think him and Troy have boxed on an undercard together. Here he is. He's back with us.
I didn't realise. I finished my whole spiel. Didn't realise you were both raising. That's the worst part.
The last thing we heard was indiscretions.
You were trying to get the word in. But we were just talking about how it's sort of taken. I want it over because there's a massive fight domestically that's on terrestrial TV the following night that's just paled into insignificance.
This is a business transaction. We said it last night. This is business on Friday night. Whereas Troy against Callum, that's hardcore boxing.
Yeah. Out of all the fights this weekend, you've got obviously Dan Aziz, Craig Richards, you've got Okolie, Tetteh, even the Matchroom Next Gen style card tomorrow night. None of them are getting the eyeballs or the attention they deserve because of a circus on Friday night. And it's a circus that, if it goes the right way for boxing, like Jay hinted at 5 minutes or so ago, should slam the door shut. However, if the unthinkable happens...
don't! I can't think about it.
That's what I mean. You talk about
not just be like, I kind of like to see the chaos it will cause if it did happen.
He just flatlined Joshua and said, Fury, you're next.
I bet you know, if he did somehow beat Joshua, his next fight would 1,000,000% be Tyson Fury. 1,000,000%.
It'll either be that or Usyk. What? It'd have to be.
It'd be one of the two.
I'll
be ringside if it is. I don't give a fuck about Disney YouTuber or what. Sign me up.
But that's the 2 extremes here, isn't it? It either slams the door shut and Jake Paul goes back to doing his exhibition fights, or it creates an unholy amount of chaos that will do more damage than good for the sport, is the reality. But you are right. Saturday night is one of the best domestic fights we've had all year, regardless of the free trinkets on the line. It's a fantastic domestic fight.
Yeah.
And we do just want to get to it. For me, that's what I mainly want to see this week and mainly looking forward to is Saturday night. But unfortunately, the circus of Friday night, the money Netflix are pumping into it, you can't scroll on social media for more than 20 seconds without seeing at least 2 adverts, can you? That's the amount of comes in the money you're talking about, mate. But let's see what happens. Look, we'll get through Friday night, and then, like we say, it's the real action. But the Matchroom card tomorrow night as well. On any other week, it would be everyone be talking, midweek boxing, fantastic.
Look, there's a lot happening tomorrow. Tim Tszyu returns in Australia. Sam Goodman's the co-main event. He just fought Nick Ball over in a good fight. You've got Nonito Donaire and Satsumi headlining in Japan tomorrow in a world championship fight, and then Vizioli against Howarth, and that's just on the Wednesday, for God's sake. There's some MVP midweek things. Shannon Courtney's fighting later on tonight. Not that card's going to be up too much, but look, there's so much boxing on this week. I don't want to just narrow it down to Friday because, as we said earlier, the European, British, and Commonwealth super middleweight fight that Jay's attending on Saturday is going to be. It's got, you don't want to say it's got fight of the year written all over it, but it has to deliver, doesn't it, this one? It's got
neither of them are, very rarely in boring fights. Troy has had to dig deep a few times. Even in his losses, they've been entertaining fights where he's sort of in them and to the end. And he showed that against Dickinson. I'm not an idiot. Dickinson was not Dickinson that night. I don't believe that was the best version of himself, but unfortunately for him, not being 100% just isn't enough to beat someone like Troy. And knowing him personally, I know what it means to him to be, you know, the underdog. And I think you get the better performances from Troy. I mean, I were there when he knocked out Ted Cheeseman, folded Ted Cheeseman in half, who's never boxed since, you know, and I'm not saying, you know, the two are related, but, you know, he's not come back off that loss. And Troy was a massive underdog going into that fight. He'd not boxed anybody at that level. You know, he was unbeaten. I think he had a draw on his record. But going into that fight, he was not expected to win. Mr. Cheeseman Senior owes me $1,000 still, but, you know, not that I'm moaning about bets that we had ringside. But I think that helps Troy being the away fighter, the underdog. He's got nothing to lose. Look, me personally, not written him off as such, but didn't know where he was going. I didn't know whether he was going to become an opponent, because he's got a decent profile. You know, he's been in some big fights on big cards, and he's headlined big fights himself, big shows himself. So he's a bit of a name, and because of the level that he's boxed at and the people that he's lost to, then, you know, I didn't want him to become an opponent. And I know that he'd still had a lot left within himself, whether he could put that out there or whether it was just up here. I think the Dickinson fight proved that he has still physically got it. Whether he's got enough to beat Callum on Saturday night is a different story, because Callum, they're sort of on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Troy's on the tail end of his career, and Callum Simpson is just about to make the step up to that next level. I think it's his second defence, I believe, of the British. You know, and he's looking at, I mean, he's boxer's main guy now that Mr. Williams.
Him and Adam Azim,
him and Adam Azim are like the main hopes. You know, and they've invested a lot. The fact that this is headlining a card in Yorkshire 5 days before Christmas tells you everything you need to know. And
I heard it's a sellout, 7,500. So it's clearly done well.
Yeah.
Irrespective of all the jokes, we need Boxer in, you know, having the sport on BBC. Like, it can't just be franking it. I know you've got your GBNs and your top tiers and everything, but Boxer probably are the ones just below Matchroom and Queensby. Then I'd class the other ones a little bit below Boxer at the moment.
Yeah, with the stable of fighters Boxer have had, you could say that, but as we've talked about off camera, this card, similar to the card in Derby, take out the main event, is weak. And weak in some ways.
Oh, it is. It's weak.
Some ways it's being kind. And yes, I know this whole purpose of the BBC deal is the majority of the card is going to go online and on the iPlayer, and then you're going to get 2 or 3 fights on the main broadcast. That's fine, but as a model for Boxer, Callum Simpson loses to Troy on Saturday night. They're relying, you know, then they've got Adam Azim. Fraser Clark losing was another one of Boxer's jewels in their crown that now I don't think we'll see Fraser Clark box again. He's lost for a British free time.
Yeah.
He's going to want to come back and go again. They are Adam Azim slipping up in February when he's due to be out again, and Callum losing on Saturday night away from not having any main stars. And that's got to be a huge issue for Ben. I know this BBC deal's a 12-month rolling contract, so after a year, it's just going to disappear? You know, it's an interesting position for them to be in. Yes, the main event is what a lot of people were going for on Saturday night, but the amount of talent the Boxer stable was lost. I mean, it was only earlier this year that you had Lauren Price and Tasha Jonas headlining at Albert Hall. Yeah. Now we're in a position where we don't know.
They've still got Lauren, haven't they? I believe.
Yeah, for now, anyway.
She'll go to Top Rank probably on a 1-fight deal, won't she, for the Mayor unification? But beyond that, it's just this difficult situation for Ben. Obviously, you want to see his fighters in good fights, but he is in a position where if a couple more lose, where does that leave the BBC and Boxer deal, if that makes sense?
Yeah, tough.
Yeah, definitely. Right then, before we finish up, we've got to talk about the Africa shows. First off, Craig Richards, Dan Aziz on Saturday.
Can I just say this, that if it is pay-per-view, I am not giving any Nigerians my bank details. I'll be streaming it illegally.
It's on the zone. Thank you, Crazy's in the building. Hope you're well, my friend.
My brother's Nigerian. Just put it out there. I'm not being racist. I'm being racist for a reason. I've got a pass, a green and white pass.
Right then, Richards versus Aziz is in Ghana on Saturday. Then Sunday, you've got Lawrence Okolie against Tetteh. Tony Yoka's on that card. David Adelaide's rumoured to be on there, but he's getting his medicals or something.
a bit chaotic, isn't it? It's a bit chaotic, even though some of the fights have been announced. The card's been announced for a while. It's like the thrown fights in. The closer it's got, it's been very chaotic.
Both cards are a mess. I mean, Matchroom said first, didn't they, that they wanted to go to Africa before the end of the year. Then Queensbury shoehorned this Aziz and Richard's fight in. Yeah, there's a lot of boxing this week, isn't there? I think both main events. I mean, Okolie against Tetteh could be the perfect cure for insomniacs because that has the ability. Could be a dreadful fight with their two styles. Whoever's allowed that as a matchmaker is hoping for an early stoppage, or they shouldn't be allowed to do a fight again. That genuinely could be horrendous. But Richards Aziz, it's winner stays on. Whoever loses that fight for me on Saturday night probably has nowhere left to go. Richards, has he fought since Willie Hutchinson beat him? If he has, it's only been once, maybe in a 6-8 round.
Yeah, he beat McCrory. He fought.
I think it's the Ben Whittaker sweepstakes. I think whoever loses that fight might be Ben Whittaker's next step up,
possibly, yeah.
Before he goes to that next level. I think it's totally separate but relevant. I think Lyndon Arthur's just signed with Frank, haven't he?
I vacated the belt, Lyndon.
Yeah, so that's up for grabs. So there's fights that can be made off the back of this. But yeah, I think if Aziz loses this fight, I think it's possibly curtains for him.
I think Richards beats him. I do
myself.
Yeah, Dan Aziz hasn't been right since the Waxy fight. He had that weird draw in a 6-rounder at Selhurst Park.
And he was doing so well. I mean, people spoke about him in the same vein as marvellous Marvin Hagler. Not myself, but I think it was more to do with the shorts more than the style.
Yeah.
But, he did really well and had some momentum behind him, and then he's just never been the same, has he, since Boazzi beat him?
I mean, he went over to France and won a European title on points, which, is no easy thing to do. And then, Boazzi fight stalled momentum. Craig Richards, if he's got anything left, should win the fight for me on Saturday. Expect Okolie to deal with Tetteh, but that could go to 10 rounds. The reality is,
I don't think it will. I think Okolie's going to jump on him.
Well, to be fair, Fraser Clark stopped him in a round, so I think that tells us all we need to know.
To be fair, the size of Okolie now, he could smother him, couldn't he, and just get
Yeah, we do. No, we haven't discussed that one. That's on the MVP Joshua Jake Paul card. I think Monkey Crazy, but no, 2 US fighters, so probably not fighters we'd know as well as our friends over in America. Any other fights, boys, that we want to discuss this week, or we there or there?
Not really. I mean,
is apparently happening next year.
I mean, off the back of what happens on Friday night, I mean, Jake Paul we could be talking about Paul versus Fury 2, because it would technically be the second Fury that is up against. I mean, I don't believe it as the shit's coming out of my mouth, but I don't like fights being announced when a fight's still...
It's happened already. Joe Parker and Wilder, Devin Haney and Garcia.
This is the thing. No lessons have been learned. We lost Wilder Joshua because Parker went and beat Wilder, like you just hinted at. And it's the fact that they've already... Fury done that interview at a charity thing, didn't he, at the weekend, saying, I need to have a warm-up fight.
Yeah, well, Fury's apparently going to fight Matt Mudov, who Dave Allen just fought.
The reality is... Yeah, the reality is the point that Fury's out of his career now and being inactive for as long as he has, will be about 18 months, won't it, by the time Fury fights Makhmudov. You just add in jeopardy that isn't there. If they're going to fight, get it on for the first...
I think the gap's got closer now. I think I think two years ago...
We'll both lose.
Exactly, but I think the gap between themselves, I think 2 years ago and before that, Joshua loses to Fury 6 out of 7 days of the week. Now, I just think Fury didn't look great in his last fight. Just didn't look great, but, look who his opponent was. But I just think that Joshua lives a better life in terms of maintaining his skill set.
Yeah.
And we know that Fury doesn't. He gets in great shape, but I think Joshua does things a little bit more...
Joshua lives the life of the athlete. Tyson Fury, we know what he's been doing pretty much all of 2025, and it's not condoned to be a professional athlete, to say the least. But,
no.
But if we get it...
Excited for it, regardless. It's a good fight. It's a great fight for British boxing.
It's a great fight 6 years too late, though, isn't it? I think that's where I'm at.
Well, it's going to be in Riyadh is the only issue I have with it, but...
That's what they do nowadays.
That's
where the money is. Unfortunately,
they're paying for it. They want it on their turf, so I guess that's.
Or is it going to be another one where Riyadh put the money up and we get it at Spurs or Wembley?
No, well, I think it's going to be in Saudi. I think two-fight deal. What the second one might be in the UK, but I think number one.
I'll believe it when they ring walk. It's one of those. We've had so many.
They're putting the money up, mate, aren't they? So they want it in the. It's the eyeballs of. I was going to say the world, but most of the UK will be on it anyway. On maybe not so much so in America or anything like that, but it'll be a huge thing. And what an opportunity for them to, they're pumping Riyadh season everywhere in order to advertise Riyadh season. What better way for them to do it than open up Riyadh season in 2026? But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that'll be our last No Punches Pulled of the year. No doubt will be about for the watch along on Friday night, obviously. Wish JFT a good one on Saturday at the Callum Simpson and Troy Williamson fight. Go and sub up to Jay's Fight Talk. We're going on very shortly for Sam and Jay Talk MMA. So don't forget to sub up there. LT Sweet Boxing Science down the bottom as well. You've switched roles from a little bit early after Liam's crash out. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in throughout the year. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody again in the new year.
Thank you. Have a great Christmas, everyone. See you next year.
Cheers, guys.